Hello, everyone. I am Gertrude Sachekar. As a professional, I have the best of two worlds. On one hand, more than 20 years of experience in the financial industry, and on the other, the skills and superpowers of an associate certified coach. I specialize in leadership, emotional intelligence, and positive intelligence. Today, we are going to talk about how to develop empathy, a guide to cultivating emotional understanding. I'll start with an introduction, then the definition of empathy, the types of empathy, how to develop it, and then key takeaways. A few years ago, the company I was working for at the time launched a framework to encourage certain leadership traits among all employees: adaptability, boldness, collaboration, curiosity, determination, and empathy. When I saw the last one, empathy, I panicked. Throughout my life, I had convinced myself that I lacked empathy simply because I was not sentimental, I didn't cry at movies, and I had no patience for people who frequently complained or found excuses to not live their best life. The senior leadership at the organization was strongly driving this framework, so challenge accepted. I was determined to overcome my perceived deficiency in empathy, even if it killed me. Thus began my journey to acquire empathy. I began by educating myself on the concept. The first rule to conquer anything is to remove the unknown, also known as the root of all fear. The first thing I learned was that empathy was a skill and that it could be learned. Oh, the beautiful sound of relief. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to sense the other person's emotions, coupled with the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling. In her book, Dare to Lead, Brené Brown writes, empathy is connecting to the emotions that underpin an experience, not to the experience itself. Empathy is a vulnerable choice because if I were to choose to connect with you through empathy, I would have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Empathy is the brave choice to be with someone in their darkness, not to race to turn on the lights so we feel better. According to Daniel Goleman, author of the book Emotional Intelligence, there are 3 types of empathy. The first one is cognitive empathy, the ability to understand another person's perspective. People are required to think about feelings instead of experiencing them. The second one is emotional empathy, the ability to sense what someone else feels. And the third one is empathic concern, the ability to anticipate what another person needs from you. To my surprise, I was already quite good at cognitive empathy. I was a natural at understanding thoughts and perspectives. 1 down, 2 to go. Emotional empathy, however, required more effort. I had to pay attention to tone of voice, body language, and words to sense what the other person was feeling. Equally important, if not more, I had to dig inside for a similar emotion in myself to appropriately show empathy. I understood then why so many people, me included, resort to cliches when faced with discomfort and vulnerability. It is easier to say something generic than to search inside us to bring an emotion to resonate with the other person's feeling. So how can we develop empathy? In her book, Dare to Lead, Brené Brown suggests 5 empathy skills. 1, to see the world as others see it or perspective taking. 2, to be non-judgmental. 3, to understand another person's feelings. 4, to communicate our understanding of that person's feelings. And 5th, mindfulness. I'll share with you some suggestions on how we can develop these 5 skills and therefore develop empathy. First, become an amazing listener. When we listen to others with our entire body, ears, eyes, heart, something magical happens. We create a stronger connection. We make the other person feel included and normal, while temporarily setting aside judgment. Take note of subtle shifts in tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language, as well as the type of words the other person uses. Are they smiling? Do they convey enthusiasm? Are their words pessimistic or hopeful? Summarize and reflect in your own words what you understood. You don't have to agree with what is being said or proposed. You are seeking to comprehend. Second, be non-judgmental. This is one of the most challenging things to do. Our brains are wired to constantly judge ourselves, others, and situations to determine what is a threat and what is safe. To reduce our tendency to judge, we must first recognize when we are doing it. I kept a judgment journal for a few days, and it was enlightening. While this exercise doesn't eliminate judgment entirely, it increases our awareness of the people and situations we tend to judge most frequently, empowering us to move past judgment more quickly. Another powerful tool is validation, acknowledging the other person's perspective without imposing our own judgments of right or wrong. We can appreciate that a person's reaction is normal based on their values, background, and personality. Stressors vary from person to person, and we all want to be heard and not feel ridiculous, absurd, or irrelevant. For example, I may find presenting to an audience routine and stress-free. For my colleague, it may be an incredible source of anxiety, and he would rather die. His reaction from his perspective is completely normal and understandable. Third, shift from being the knower to being the learner. An essential aspect of empathy is seeing the world as others see it. Each of us has a set of unique lenses or perspectives we use to see the world based on our own experiences, beliefs, and influences from those around us. It is impossible to remove our lenses and take someone else's to see the world as they do. What we can do is keep an open and curious mind and learn about their perspectives. This involves asking thoughtful questions, reflecting on the information we receive, and recognizing that their viewpoint is not better or worse than ours. It is simply different. Last but not least, become fluent in emotions. I must admit I still have work to do here. It is unfortunate that many of us receive little education on emotions. Most people can identify, understand, and accept disgust, sadness, anger, enjoyment, and fear. And even with these 5, we tend to confuse being mad with being scared most of the time. Understanding our own emotions allows us to empathize more effectively with others' experiences and express our comprehension of their feelings. Knowing our emotions allows us to connect to those underpinning someone else's experience and articulate our understanding of those emotions. This, in turn, helps us identify more quickly what the other person may need from us, empathic concern. Empathy is a set of skills that we can learn and apply. With practice, choosing and showing empathy will become less challenging and eventually second nature. Having been on this journey for several years, I now find it easier to consciously choose and express empathy towards others. Each of us can demonstrate empathy in a manner authentic to ourselves. I don't consider myself overly sentimental. While I may not always experience exactly what the other person is feeling, I can employ cognitive empathy and remain curious about their needs, so I can do my best to address those needs. Showing empathy requires vulnerability, as it involves delving into our own portfolio of emotions to try to understand and resonate with the other person's feelings. This means having to unearth feelings that may be uncomfortable and/or relieve memories that we would prefer to keep locked. Empathy allows us to connect deeper with others. Experiencing genuine empathy from another person is incredibly rewarding. It makes us feel included, normal, and accepted. It is yet another way to express love and appreciation for those around us. What do you do to enhance your empathy skills? Let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for listening. Please include your responses in the comments. And for more content, remember to subscribe to my channel. See you again soon.